And we'll start out as we always do with a silent prayer, and then I will ask everyone to stand for a pledge of allegiance. And as we have a silent prayer, I would ask for two things. Of course, you can pray for whatever you like, but there are a couple trials going on, and let's pray for justice to prevail, if you would. And also, please pray for our commission board as we deliberate and make some hard decisions as it relates to our budget of 2022, and that we make the best decisions for all the residents of Hamilton County. So just a moment of silence. Amen. If you could please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. And before we move into our next approval of the minutes, if we could introduce ourselves up here so everyone knows who's working for us.
Hi, my name is Leslie Herbie. I'm the interim clerk.
Good afternoon. I'm County Commissioner Denise Driehaus.
I'm John Brugan, Assistant County Administrator.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
County Commissioner Alicia Reese.
I'm Stephanie Summerall Dumas, President of the Commission Board. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous session.
Second,
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes,
Commissioner Reeves.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
thank you so much. Our next item on the agenda are public comments. I don't know if we have anything. I didn't receive a card, and Zoom doesn't have anything. Okay, very good. So we'll move forward. Comments and motions. Vice President Reese.
thank you, Madam President. I do have a couple acknowledgements. One, I want to say I had a chance to attend the 50th anniversary of the Dr. Charles Foe Singers in Lincoln Heights this past Saturday. And was a great turnout. And Kurt Carr came in, who's a national recording artist in the gospel community. So it was a great celebration of the singers and the life of Dr. Charles Foe, who is also in one of our founding inductees in the Black Music Walk of Fame. Want to acknowledge and thank the CVG, our airport, and Candace McGraw and Seth and their team there for partnering with us to unveil a special historic display. I don't think they've ever had a display in the airport like this. And so our stars are not in the lobby anymore, but they're over across the river at the airport just in time for the busiest travel day in the country, which is Thanksgiving next week. So they'll be over there. So as people are traveling, you can stop by, take pictures. And yesterday, we had a great unveiling. Bootsy Collins himself was there, which is amazing because he is also featured on Times Square right now with Bruno Mars and Anderson, and he named the new group Silk Sonic. And you probably, if you haven't heard about them, they're trending. So he's trending really big right now. But he was there as well as our inductee Otis Williams of the Charms was there to see it, and Christine Brown, the sister of the late Dr. Charles Foe, was there. Also, Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeters from Lincoln Heights helped represent the Isley brothers there. But this was just great. And even when we got done, we had someone who just flew in with their bags, and they stopped him and asked Mr. Otis Williams, "Oh my God, you did the doo-wop sound. Can I take a photo?" So there will be thousands of people now seeing those stars, and also acknowledging that we'll be opening the Black Music Walk of Fame here in Cincinnati along the Ohio banks as our tourism infrastructure project. And I want to also acknowledge CVB, Julie Calvert was there to talk about also the tourism impact that it would have. So a lot of excitement. They'll be over there until we open up in July during the music festival weekend, which is we're excited to have that come back because it's a great event, but also it's a lot of money for us here in Hamilton County. And John Bergen, who's here on the dais, he told me that's one of our most economic impact weekends on an annual basis for a festival or an event, $107 million. So excited about that. And I just wanted to thank the Candace McGraw and her staff at the airport for partnering with us on this display, and encourage people as you're traveling for the holidays to stop by. It's in the baggage claim area, so you don't have to go through security. And it's right near the new wing that is opened at the airport for rental car and long-term parking. So you have to go past it. So please stop and take photos and enjoy. Also wanted to acknowledge the Women's Fund. The Women's Fund that is part of the Greater Cincinnati Foundation. I was excited to be a part of their one-on-one training for women. Some outstanding women were on this Zoom and was happy to be a part of it. And looking forward to the report that they're going to unveil. They have a report that they're doing regarding African-American women in Hamilton County. And the data is showing that African-American women, while we have the most education, we're not getting the promotions, we're not getting hired. Many are making under minimum wage. It talks about $22 is needed for you to have baseline in Hamilton County to be able to just have baseline living. But that African-American women have, PhDs, master degrees, et cetera. It doesn't matter what your LinkedIn page says, you're not getting the opportunities. And we're not growing as some of the other areas in the country are in that category. So I'm excited to hear that report. And maybe, Madam President, maybe at some point, maybe they can, once they release it or whatever, we can schedule them to come in at a staff meeting or something to break those numbers down and how we can work together to change that dynamic. Also wanted to just acknowledge that the 513 relief bus is in Cleves, Ohio today. Cleves is one of the top zip codes of evictions. It's on the front page of, I think, the newspaper. And our bus is out there. And one of the issues was relationships. People, they didn't trust the government at that when we went the first time. They saw that some of those theories that were put out were not accurate. And so they wanted the bus to come back because, we're all about building relationships. But I think it's important to be in that area since that's one of the areas that had the highest eviction rates. And then we'll be in Hartwell on Friday. So we'll be at Hartwell at Unity Christian Church lot, encouraging people to come there. Again, we've got the booster shot, the first shot, the second shot, everything you need. And we also have the economic resources that Jobs and Family Services bring. My last thing is I want to acknowledge Rosemary's Baby organization. They're having, their foundation is having their fundraiser at 20th Century. And I'm looking forward to hosting. They asked me to be one of the MCs. But the good part is I get to host the late, great Dennis Edwards from The Temptations. He has the Temptation group, so they'll be there. And I'm excited to hear all of those great tunes of the Temptations had out. So just wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dreehouse.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to just mention that since we've last met in our legislative meeting, Veterans Day has taken place. And, as you travel around this community and go to the Veterans Day recognition ceremonies, it's really something to see because so many people in this community have stepped up and organized events to recognize veterans on that special day. And so, whether it's in Bond Hill for a breakfast or a big event in Blue Ash or a much smaller intimate event in Mohawk, this community really does appreciate the service of veterans, those that we've lost, but those that continue to serve the country. And so I just want to recognize that, I went to some of these events and the community needs to be thanked for all their efforts to make sure that we recognize veterans in a really significant way on Veterans Day. Also, I had the pleasure with you, Madam President, to go to the renovations over at Pinecrest and Price Hill. CMHA has done a fantastic job with that facility that is as old as, I think, 1970s. I used to live down the street from this facility, so it was really interesting going back because it hasn't been renovated since the 1970s. And what they have done is really impressive to the benefit of the families that live in that facility, and there are hundreds, but also to the community of Price Hill, because this is a large building. It's an icon in that community, and CMHA has really redefined the work that they do in Price Hill and other communities where they're doing this kind of work. And so I just wanted to recognize their efforts. Last thing I have is an update. So we, as a board, have received a lot of public comment related to landfills, especially the Bond Hill site. And so I just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention because the time is clicking away on this one, and we're going to have something in front of us, I think, by the end of the year. And so I didn't want anybody to be flat-footed when that came forward. So as the board knows, a subcommittee was established of the Policy Committee for Solid Waste in order to dig into rules and see what we are capable of doing as a board and offer what we might want to do as a board related to rules. And so the subcommittee is still doing its work. They have one more meeting, which will, I think, happen in December. They will then turn around and make a recommendation to the Policy Committee, of which I'm the chair. And then the Policy Committee will bring a recommendation to this board. And so that is likely to happen within the next few weeks. There was a Rumpke representative. He actually sits on the Policy Committee, and we had asked the question, is Rumpke intending to file a permit before the end of the year to make sure we understood what our timing was? And he said that he was unaware of any intent to file a permit before the end of the year. So that is our deadline. We don't want to miss the deadline. And so I will continue to provide information related to these rules. I don't have anything firm because we just hired the legal counsel on Tuesday to advise this group as to what we can and cannot do. And ultimately, this board will make the decision as to what rules we want to put in place. And so I just wanted to bring it up. Again, I'm trying to keep everyone in the loop because it's on a really quick time frame. Thank you.
Thank you. And we do have one person for public comment. Teresa, if you could bring them in on Zoom.
Ms. Davis, you are now live. Please unmute yourself and you have 2 minutes to address the board.
Hello, it's Carrie Davis. First off, thank you, Commissioner Driehaus. I know you're humping your butt off trying to push this through, but I do want to correct you. You are correct that Bill Rumpke said we don't have any plans, and Larry Riddle said we don't have any plans, but then Health Commissioner Greg Kesterman jumped in and said, I want to correct the record that they will be very soon filing for a permit to expand, not just utilize that landfill at its current capacity, but to expand it to address problems they're already having with the leachette on the site before they even put more garbage on it. And thank goodness, the health commissioner was there and was well aware that they had plans to, quote, eminently ask for another permit. And that can happen tomorrow or in a year. We don't know, and we have no control over it. And the Rumpke refused to agree to not file for a permit before the first of the year. They refused to agree to that. So I feel that the urgency of this is even greater than what Ms. Driehaus has worked so hard to get us to. And I would like you all to consider passing an emergency resolution as a safety net, which would give us an extra 120 days in order to get a final rule. I also want you aware what I'm experiencing. If you guys watch the meetings, they calling them contentious is an understatement. We pretty much had one member tell another member he was lying at the meeting. Voices are raised. An elderly woman on the committee was very upset about the conduct of some of the members. So the opposition from your staff is great. They sent out a letter to every jurisdiction in Hamilton County, essentially telling them not to listen to my organization, who has been traveling across the county doing presentations about the rules subcommittee, their progress, and why we are lobbying for it, and literally sent out an email to everyone telling them not to let me present and to not have any communications with me. And I find this extraordinarily obstructive of my right to free speech and my right to lobby and speak on behalf of the over 2,700 people now who have signed the petition, over 1,000 people from the 5 different nonprofits who have weighed in, and the other people in the community. So the opposition from staff is extraordinary. I don't even get the meeting
you.
agendas
Ms.
until
Davis?
after the meeting.
Ms. Davis, thank you so much for your comments. I appreciate them.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and let me just say that the work of this subcommittee and the work of the policy committee is in response to what we're hearing from citizens out in this area. Real concerns about environmental impacts, about the possibility of an expansion on the Bond Hill site. The rules will apply countywide, of course, as they're not site-specific or project-specific. But all of this activity is in response to what we are hearing from the community. So we are going, I too share some frustration about the timing. I wish we could have done it more quickly, but we just got legal counsel on Tuesday. We have to have them review whatever rules come in front of us in order to pass something that passes legal muster. And so the subcommittee will probably meet within the next couple of weeks, the policy committee, and these are all special meetings. None of this is scheduled. So they're all special meetings that will happen in the beginning of December. And I was very clear about the last day for us to act is mid-December. I think it's the 16th is our last meeting. So that's the target. And so again, providing the update so that there are no surprises, people know what to expect. And as soon as we get rules that have been vetted through legal counsel, we'll make sure that those are distributed so everyone has that heads up before the meeting in mid-December.
Thank you. I will move forward with a few comments that I have. I also, as was mentioned earlier, I attended the Blue Ash Veterans Day ceremony. It was just a beautiful ceremony, and the rain we didn't have any rain. It was overcast, but we made it through. And I also attended the National Coalition of Black Meeting Planners like this past Saturday, and presented a proclamation from all the commissioners. Vice President Reese was also there in attendance for that. It was a great, they had, I think it was about 4 days of conference. In addition, I met with myself and my chief of staff met with CAA CEO Mark Lawson to listen to his legislative overview of where he's going with CAA, and they are doing so much as it relates to this COVID and this pandemic and being a partner to Hamilton County. We certainly thank him and his staff for that. And also it was a webinar for the Jewish community, had a webinar, a Thanksgiving diversity luncheon virtually, and it was very nice. And a lot of awareness took place. A lot of people that are working in the community to do things for trafficking, and for one lady was from Afghanistan and talking about her efforts here. So it was quite interesting. And then, of course, as it was mentioned earlier, the Pencrest grand opening the remodeling was excellent. And I was able to meet some of the residents, and they are just extremely happy because they were hesitant, as you can imagine, that they may not be able to come back, but they were able to come back to their residence. So, and then we had a public hearing last night at the Forest Park Senior Center on the budget. Our next budget meeting will be December the 2nd at our regular meeting right here at the Todd Fortune Center. There was a gentleman who came up about his concerns about cemeteries and whether or not the county is doing as much as we could as it relates to the oversight in general of cemeteries. I know we did help, I think Wesley Cemetery at one point, we gave some money toward them to help. So we're just kind of looking at the possibility. He mentioned about maybe a cemetery commission. So we'll be looking at that as we look at our budget too. So I just had a couple other comments. I wanted to provide some clarity because I'm hearing some things in the community. And I just want to provide some clarity as it relates to closing the Lincoln Heights gun range. And I just want to make it very clear, having been the village manager there for 4 years, that gun range was a sore spot for me, working there. And can you imagine the people that are living there having to experience that? So the initiative of closing the gun range came out of my office. As soon as my chief of staff, Bishop Hilton, came, that was his first assignment. So that is to say that if anyone has any comments, concerns, suggestions, as it relates to the Lincoln Heights gun range, Bishop Hilton is the one to contact. The bottom line is, it really doesn't matter whose office it came out of, because it's taken too long. It's been years and years and years. But at this point with this commission, we have decided through a resolution that it's important and we need to move forward. And it's going a little slower than I think a lot of us would like. But I refuse to let this issue be a political pond for anybody. So it doesn't matter who said it, who did it, we need to get it done. And so I just need to say that because as we are in the community and people make comments about who's responsible for it, it's not fair how it's expressed. And it should be very clear that this was an initiative that was started out of my office. And I think that clarity will be is done by saying all of that. That's all I have, and I will move forward to our assistant administrator, John Brugan.
Thank you, Madam President. We have 3 by leaves today.
Mhm.
The first one is related to the 513 relief bus. And this is a resolution authorizing the county administrator to negotiate and enter into a purchase agreement by and between the Board of County Commissioners and LDV Inc. This is not the full contract for the bus. I understand that this is coming in a little earlier while we continue to negotiate the details of the bus, but it allows them to begin to procure. Am I not loud enough? again?
Well, he's going like, he's trying to do, that's a little bit, yeah.
But it allows LDV to begin to procure the equipment to enter into the full contract when we're ready to, once we've negotiated all the details.
And you recommend adoption? of
And
this?
recommend adoption.
Okay, I'll comments, Vice President Reese.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. I'm glad to see this moving. We did get into a temporary bus with UC Health. I've gotten calls from people saying, I hear the bus is leaving because UC Health is taking the bus away. Reverend Damon Lynch called me and some other people. They didn't take the bus away. The bus, we were hoping to get this bus moving, our own bus that we had built quicker, but unfortunately the process is a lot longer. But we didn't want to wait to start getting people help. So we moved forward, the board, we voted on a contract with UC Health. And I want to thank Dr. Lofgren for stepping forward with it. I want to thank him. He also talked with the Dean of Hampton University and said, hey, we want to be in. How did Hampton do it? And so they've been a partner to allow us to use the bus. I call it the body double. So we've had the body double out there, but we've been able to help people. And I just want to say that I've been to most of the stops. I think we've been to almost 60 stops. I might have only missed 3 or 4, but I've been to a lot of them, and we're averaging almost 100 people. We're turning people away. People are in their cars at 3 a.m. At 3 a.m. waiting, not just at one location, at multiple locations, because the need is so great. So I'm happy that to move this forward so we can start to get the bus built over the winter and hopefully be back out with our bus by, Minority Health Month or earlier. So I do support this as we get moving so that they can start the design and make sure all the bells and the whistles are there. And I do want to thank again the UC Health Bus. I call it Old Faithful. It hung in there and got us through this season and allowed us to give a lot of shots out and also give a lot of financial assistance. I think over 3,000 people have been serviced, and that doesn't even account for the people we had to turn away because we didn't, we weren't able to fit them in that 4-hour period. So happy to see this moving along. And again, over the winter, hopefully it can start getting moving and built so we could be ready to go when the weather breaks. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dreehouse.
No questions.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt by leave one.
Second,
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you.
By leave two is a resolution authorizing the county administrator to enter into agreement between the Board of County Commissioners and the United Way of Greater Cincinnati. This is the contract for the United Way to administer our nonprofit relief grant program as part of the American Rescue Plan. And Holly Crispin tells us that the grant application is still under development, so there will be more specifics coming shortly, and we'll include a launch date for that program.
Thank you
The
so much.
recommendation is to adopt.
Okay, thank you. And they have just been awesome through this whole period. Every area of service that we have asked them to be a part of, they have far beyond our expectations. So just really happy that we're getting this going. Vice President Reese.
thank you, Madam President. I'm excited about this by leave because now the funds will be there to move forward with the nonprofits. But I also want to also echo, I want to thank Moria and her staff and the partnerships that she's had with us in her new role as the CEO of United Way. She has been with us, Relief-a-thon. She stepped forward to help with us with the 211 and now helping us partner with this. I want to also, though, highlight that the board, we have said that we want to make sure that also some of the grassroots nonprofit groups also can participate. And I think that message is clear. We heard from some of those organizations during our hearings, during the ARPA money hearings. And so this is the time, this is the opportunity, and they'll be able to apply and participate because a lot of these nonprofits are the ones that are on the ground really helping people. So looking forward to voting to support this today.
Thank you, Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yeah, I too am supportive of this by leave. I'm glad that United Way is going to administer the program. We have a great deal of confidence in them because they've done other administering of programs for us during the CARES Act and now into the ARP dollars. So I'm glad that they are the ones doing it. We intend to have some kind of public announcement probably next week because as we all know, these nonprofits continue to struggle, which is problematic in and of itself, but the delivery to the people they serve then becomes problematic. And so we are anxious to get this money out the door to help these nonprofits. And we were furnished with a list of those that got the CARES Act money. And I think it does represent a wide swath of nonprofits in this community, both large and small, doing many, many different kinds of things for the people that live in Hamilton County. So I'm anxious, again, to partner with those organizations to help the citizens. So thank you.
Thank you. And as you were saying, that list that we received of nonprofits, we need to make sure we look carefully at that list. So those that have not received money, that they would be considered first and foremost, in my opinion. So just stay tuned. If you're listening, the window of opportunity has not passed. We're trying to finalize our requirements and criteria for that. So just stay tuned so you can also apply. So I'd like to make a motion to adopt by leave two.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you.
The third by leave and last by leave is the resolution authorizing procurement of materials pursuant to Bank's Phase 3B bid package number 6. Phil Beck, our project executive, is here to speak to the item, but as I understand it, this is allowing us to procure the materials for the Lot 28 construction off of a bid package from the previous phase of the bank's construction, which will allow us to further expedite that project.
Correct. Yes, materials as well as labor for installation. And it also allows us, since this is a very fast track piece of the banks, allows our design team to sit right next to the shop drawing detailers for both the granite as well as the stainless steel, so we can expedite those shop drawings. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any comments, Vice President Reese?
No comment.
Commissioner Johnson? I make a motion, thank you so much.
Yes.
Make a motion to adopt by leave 3.
Second,
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Commissioners.
much. Yes.
Thank you. That's all of our bio leaves today.
Okay, thank you. We will move forward. We're a little late, but we're on time for our public hearing that's coming forth to consider the required updates to the Hamilton County flood damage prevention regulations. Who's speaking to you? Welcome.
Hi, I'm Greg Smorey with Hamilton County Planning and Development, Stormwater Division. And the Hamilton County flood damage prevention regulations are something that's required by FEMA through the NFIP, the National Flood Insurance Program. And on occasion, FEMA requires us to update our regulations on a fairly regular basis. The last time we had our regulations updated was 2004. And now's the time that it's coming due that FEMA wants us to make sure those regulations are updated. And with that, we have to, by Ohio Revised Code, advertise, which we have done, and go have 2 public hearings before you can vote on and approve, hopefully approve the regulations. This is the first of those 2 public hearings. The second one's going to be in 2 weeks, I think, at the next meeting. So basically, that's where we're at right now. And it was just on the board today for you to acknowledge that this was the first hearing of 2 for the approval of the future regulations.
Thank you so much. And so you received no comments as it relates to the.
No, we have not. No
Okay.
comments, no emails, nothing. So it's been pretty quiet.
Okay.
And that's pretty typical. And we've
Yeah.
also alerted the communities through the paper and stuff like that. So we have not heard anything.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from our commissioners? No. Okay, so we'll see you or someone else in about 2 weeks.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll move forward to our regular agenda items. Okay, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
second,
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you. Let's move forward to our regular agenda items. We have our engineers here, Mr. Beck.
Thank you, Madam President. We have 4 items in front of you today. First one is a resolution authorizing agreement relative to the improvement of Montgomery Road in the village of Silverton. This is a MRF fund project. And June 17th, the board approved the list of projects. This is just bringing the signed agreement back from the village to the board so we can execute and get them the money.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on this item?
No question.
No. I make a motion to approve item 1.
second,
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 2 is a intergovernmental agreement with Harrison Township. This is one of the projects where we cooperate with the local jurisdiction. We share the cost of their salt dome and the rental of a loader for salt, snow and ice operations. This agreement goes from December 1st of this year through March 31st of 2022. It's for the cost of $3,000 shared with Harrison Township.
Thank you. Have we thought about getting our own rubber tire loader or do we have?
We have, for here, it's much more cost effective
Mhm.
to share it because it's a small facility.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, I make a motion to adopt item number 2.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 3 is a resolution for the 2021 Municipal Road Fund for the Village of Woodlawn for the improvements to Lee Crest Road. Again, this was a project that was brought forth on the list approved on June 17th. And it is a signed agreement from the Village of Woodlawn in order to proceed.
Thank you. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, I make a motion to adopt item 3.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 4 is a resolution authorizing agreement between Aaron and Toby Hopkins and the Board of County Commissioners required for the purchase of property deemed necessary and for right-of-way and privilege to enter upon and make necessary improvements to Cleveland Court Bridge located in Green Township. This is a small standard highway easement for the extension of the bridge and a temporary easement to access the property for construction.
Thank you. Any discussion? Access for the property, this 1,500, is that a normal for easement and access?
Yeah, for an easement, we
Uh-huh.
typically take the auditor's valuation of the property. There's some multipliers on it, and then we take a percentage of that if it's a temporary easement,
Okay.
just for the, basically rent the property during the construction.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to adopt item 4.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam President.
Mhm. We have MSD is up next.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Lauren DeGaricia with MSD. We have 9 items on the agenda.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that better?
Let's see if that's better. That's better.
Okay, great, thank
Uh-huh.
you. As I said, I'm Lauren DeGaricia with MSD. We have 9 items on the agenda this afternoon, which I will be summarizing along with my colleague Jack Rennekamp and hopefully concisely. We have Ryan Welsh and Matt Scudari also with us today from MSD Engineering to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
So with that, item number 5 is the 2022 MSD charges and assessment credit adjustments. This request is to approve entering into the commissioner's minutes certain MSD fees and charges that are contained in 8 sections of the MSD rules and regulations and are annually adjusted for inflation per section 2501 of the MSD rules and regulations.
Okay.
The September engineering new records cost of construction index, which uses local prices and materials and labor, provides the basis for this adjustment. In September of 2021, the ENR cost of construction index illustrated an approximate 12% increase. So with that, we'll take any questions that the board may
Sure.
have.
Any questions or comments as it relates to item 5? Hearing none.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Mhm.
Can you go back? I know we're entering it for the record. And you mentioned some cost adjustments going up.
Correct.
Okay, can you tell me what's going up?
So these are 8 different fees and charges that are set forth in the MSD rules and regulations. They are associated with the preparation of as-built drawings, sewer tapper licenses, sewer tap-ins, holding tank discharge permits, holding tank waste disposal, one-time discharge permits, construction inspections, and assessment credits.
Okay, and then these going up is your decision or is it the county? Are we involved in the?
The county did, the board did approve the rules and regulations. So this rule, section 2501, sets forth basically the formula in which they're adjusted for inflation each year.
Mhm. Okay, so the board voted on the formula, so what are we voting on today? I want to know who's accountable for.
Sure, we provide this. Like I said, it's an automatic adjustment based on the engineering new records cost of construction index. So we provide, or basically we apply the formula, provide those amounts to the board, basically for your information to enter into your minutes.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I was asking, I wanted to know about the construction inspection fee. Is that only for commercial or is this apply for residential folks or?
I'm going to defer to Ryan Welch
Okay,
on that one.
Yeah, no, just trying to get an
Thank you.
understanding.
That would typically apply to new construction where we would send an inspector out, whether it's residential or commercial. So none of these rate changes are for existing services. They aren't the sewer rates. These are for special fees charged, mostly associated with construction.
Gotcha. And then a single family assessment credit, what is that? It says $8,600, we're going to $9,600. What is that?
Commissioner Jack Rennekamp with MSD. So each year we have an assessment credit that applies to our assessment projects. This is a single family credit whereby property owners who are involved in assessment projects get that credit in order to reduce the cost of the assessment. That's a credit that's paid for by MSD. And this has been in effect since 1995. Originally started out at $5,000 and then it was indexed to this table beginning in 2001. And sometimes it's annually adjusted upward. It has also been adjusted downward depending on the economic conditions of the cost of construction index. But it hasn't been adjusted, I believe, in the last 2 years.
Gotcha. And then my last question is this tap-in fee to the water meter size. What is that? Who would be tapping in? Is this new construction or?
These are connections to either new service or it's been service that there is an existing water branch that and the property has been redeveloped and they're connecting into that water branch if it's been disconnected.
Okay.
So generally, this is for new construction, but it might apply to existing redevelopment, depending on if the actual tap-in was disconnected or not.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was just going to add that it's, a lot of times during redevelopment, if a new business goes in, they'll change, they'll upgrade their tap. So if they get a bigger water service, our tap-in fees are associated with the size of the water meter because there's a basic cost of providing that additional flow. So that's the reason for the rate structure.
Thank you. I just asked that question because we have people opening up beauty shops, for example, or a barber shop and they, use water. And I just didn't know would this apply to them or not.
So I'd like to make a motion to accept into the record item number 5.
Second. Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes,
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. Item number 6 is the certification of delinquent sewerage service charges. This proposed resolution is to certify $642,059.27 in delinquent unpaid sanitary rates and any accrued penalties to the Hamilton County Auditor for placement on the real property tax list and duplicate for 3 parcels located at 35 West 5th Street in the city of Cincinnati. The board has this authority under Ohio Revised Code 611702C. No payments have been made on this sewer account since November 6th of 2020. On October 15th of 2021, a foreclosure action was initiated against the property, which prompted this request. Certifying these delinquent charges to the property will greatly improve our ability to make sure that these delinquent charges are collected and potentially ahead of other debts that are owed by the property owners. The city notified the property owners on October 7th of 2021 that we would request the sewer charges to be certified by the board. And I did verify this morning with GCWW that no changes have been made to this account, no payments as of this morning.
Okay, so the 0 amount means that the fact that we have not recouped any of the charges that people
Correct.
know. Okay, and so we have to accept this to the record or also?
It is for approval.
Okay. Vice President Reese.
No questions. I was looking at who the owners were. Thank you.
Well, we've been reading about this one in the paper. This is the Carew Tower property. So yeah, I'm in support of trying to get these monies from those that owe them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I'll make a motion to adopt item number 6.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 7 is for additional construction funding for the Lick Run Valley Conveyance System. This current request is to appropriate $4,920,815.48 in additional construction funding and to approve 2 line item transfers associated with construction change order number 43 for this project. The current total estimated project cost is $194.6 million. This change order includes the settlement of 3 construction contractor claims, both for time and cost. The contractor originally claimed it was entitled to approximately $15.5 million. In a mutual effort to avoid litigation, the parties went to mediation and ultimately tentatively agreed to a settlement amount of approximately $8.4 million. The balance of the settlement amount, approximately $3.5 million, will be covered by previously approved but unencumbered funding on this project. Change order 43 also entails final budget reconciliation and line item transfers to balance out expenditures, forecasted costs remaining, and the legislated budgets. Just as background on the VCS project, it is a nationally recognized sustainable solution designed to assist, along with other MSD projects, in eliminating 1.78 billion gallons of CSOs annually to the Mill Creek. With
Thank
that,
you.
we'll take any questions.
Thank you. And I know Karen Ball is in the back, our county rep, MSD rep. If she wants to say anything at any time, just let me know. And also, I wanted to let the people that are watching to know that as we go through these items, it may seem that we're going through quickly, but we receive this information way before the meeting and review it. So just to let you know, we're just not rubber stamping information that's coming forward to us. Vice President Reese.
No questions.
Okay. Commissioner Dreehouse.
I have no questions.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt item 7.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 8 is for easement appropriation for the CSO 402 through 406 wet weather improvement project. This request is to approve the appropriation of easements from 4 property owners necessary to construct this project. This project is a consent decree project included in MSD's wet weather improvement plan, or WIP, as it's commonly referred to, and specifically the bridge schedule between phase 2 and future consent decree phases as negotiated with US EPA, Ohio EPA, and Orsenco. The board approved design funding for this project through the 2018 CIP, and it also included it in the 2021 CIP for construction. This project will provide improvements to CSOs 402 through 406 to achieve high water, dry weather protection, and floatable controls. Various improvements will be made to the new CSO structures to improve performance and work toward achieving the consent decree required allowable remaining overflow volume. All CSOs will be installed at higher elevations, and CSOs 402 through 405 will be repositioned to the north side of River Road. The higher elevations will decrease the reliance on mechanical high water, dry weather protection, and will also allow for the replacement of the interceptor at a shallower depth. In addition, having CSOs on the north side of River Road will allow for future stormwater separation in the Sailor Park neighborhood where this project is located. No funding is currently requested with this legislation, but the updated total estimated project cost is included, which at this point is approximately $2.8 million. The Hamilton County Sanitary Engineer has determined that the current project design is most beneficial to the district, and that current design requires the acquisition of these easements included in this legislation. MSD has been unable to secure these easements, so at this point we are requesting that they be referred to the prosecutor's office for appropriation.
Thank you. And the reason for not appropriating, or you were saying possibly 2.8 million. So rather than putting a number in there, you want to wait and see as you look forward on your projection.
I think the total project cost is approximately 20.8
Mhm.
million.
Well, she,
Oh, I'm sorry, did I say 2.8?
Yeah, you
20.8,
did.
I apologize.
okay, thank you. Vice President Reese,
No questions.
No questions.
okay. Make a motion to adopt item number 8.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 9 is for construction funding for CSO 214 partial separation project. This request is to appropriate $1,682,300 in construction funding. Would that sound? Okay. Make sure that one's right. For the CSO 214 partial separation project. The total estimated project cost is $2.7 million. The construction estimate has increased by $389,000 since this project was last before the board. And that is attributable to an increase in material costs, labor costs, and construction conditions, as well as changes in MSD's estimate per its project costing manual, which provides for bidding contingency and a market condition contingency, and as well as escalation updates based on the schedule. Similar to the last project, this project is also required by MSD's consent decree and included in the WIP. It is also part of the bridge schedule agreed to by the parties. This project involves the construction of a new storm sewer and the strategic separation of stormwater to the newly constructed sewer. It is anticipated to reduce flows to the CSO 214 regulator by 4.1 million gallons during a typical year. This project, in concert with other MSD Upper Duck all bundle projects, is designed to achieve the final remaining overflow volume required by the consent decree. With that, I'll take any questions.
Okay, thank you. And I'm just inquisitive about, we're asking to be, to adopt the 1.7. You were saying the estimate is probably a 2.7 when we look at it. Is there a reason why we're not putting the entire amount in? This is a little different than we usually do.
There's an amount that was previously approved for design. In the fact sheet contained with the legislation, it does provide a budget table that shows kind of the difference between those two amounts, what's been previously approved and what's currently being requested.
Okay, okay,
So the total of those equals that estimated total cost.
okay. All right, thank you. Vice President Reeves.
No question.
So, yeah, on this one, so is part of the reason for the cost increase related to a delay in the project being completed?
In general, so in 2018, we had
Use the mic, yeah.
sorry, in 2018, we had a consent decree modification to allow us to move forward with these approximately 20 bridge projects. At the time we agreed, we requested the modification, the regulators agreed to the modification. At that time, several of those projects had estimates that had not been, the estimates were from about 2006. So the original costs, dating from 2018, 2019, for a number of these projects had no engineering planning, no real estimates. So that's really a reflection for the special case of consent decree bridge entering into projects before the planning has really been done. So that, in general, that's occurred on several of the 20 bridge projects. Some costs on some of the projects were lower than what we expected, but some of them have been higher. So that's the same answer I would give for the other bridge project that we're talking about here today, which is CSO 513. And if there's any specific questions about those, I can answer them.
Yeah,
I don't think it's the delay. The delay on this one was largely due to right-of-way acquisition. So the cost of the right-of-way itself didn't contribute to the increase in the expected cost. That makes sense.
Well, so I think it might be useful for us to get an update on the bridge projects themselves and how many are running on time and how many are running behind, especially as we look forward to the budget that's going to be in front of us here soon, I guess within a couple of weeks from MSD. And we're going to be asked to approve of a budget. And I would like to get a much better sense of how we're doing related to the money that we've already allocated to MSD. If we're behind on projects, I think we're going to want to do that, especially these bridge projects that are most relevant to, what we expected to be doing right now. So I understand that there are a couple bridge projects in front of us today. I worry about the delay for two reasons. One is that it's a delay and we're trying to get these projects moving. The other one is any cost increase, which obviously is happening here, related to the delay, any penalties we might suffer from a delay, all those kinds of things. So if you could provide that to us more broadly related to all the bridge projects. I think that might be helpful as we move forward towards the budget
We
presentation.
can absolutely do that. We produce the reports and provide those to the county administration on a monthly basis. But I think the good news in this is that of the 20 or so projects that were in the bridge, there are only about 6 that remain in the construction phase, meaning that design is done. And there are only 3 of those that are remain to be legislated in this meeting today. And then I think that the next meeting, there are no funds that are required to be spent in 2022. So with the approvals, anticipating approval in this meeting and in the coming meetings, there will be no additional costs incurred for bridge projects. There's no future legislation. That's what I mean. And for 2021, we're trending with our variance report under the original total approved budget, which was about 123 million for all capital projects for 2021. I think we're right at about 120 right now. So none of these approvals will cause us to exceed our budget.
Also, all very important context as we look at an increase here. The context is important, but I continue to worry about delays on any of these projects related to the finances of it and just, the backup that, because I anticipate a budget from MSD that's going to ask us to continue on I hope, a pretty aggressive pace to get projects done, and any kind of delay it just worries me. So if
Right.
you could help us better understand that holistically for the future meetings, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I also would like to see a list. You had said earlier, Ryan, that some of the projects came in lower. And I have yet to see any MSD project come in lower. So I don't have to say that. I'd like to see a list of those that went over and those that went under. So that would be helpful
Sure.
to me.
Madam President.
Yes.
I just want to add too that there was a presentation, I believe, that you all made to us at one of our staff meetings. And I had asked that question about some of the projects that, they were saying due to COVID or due to other things, we weren't able to get this done, or we're going to move it to this year. And I'd asked about the question of cost and what effect it would have, what effect it would have in terms of the deadlines. Pretty extensive question. I got to go back to get the tape, but it was reported at that time that, like you said today, none of this would, go over, and I guess now we're getting the actual documents of those.
Right. So it's important to say we're not exceeding the approved 2021 budget, but we're definitely seeing cost increases and it's reflected in our construction estimates and actual construction happening on the ground. The cost of PVC pipe that we use for sewers has skyrocketed, and even the availability, our ability to do these projects has been impeded in recent months. We had one job that's under construction. We had to switch from PVC pipe, which has been the standard and has always been available, to ductile iron pipe at a cost of about $79,000 just for one small sewer job. As far as the question you had, I think Jack could probably.
Well, let me
answer that.
say, get the right type of pipes. We don't want to be coming back.
Right, right.
I know there was on a private side out in Green Township, they put some new pipe in, and of course, it's cost the people a lot of money. Reason I asked that, because I asked about timelines. We had missed some project timelines at that meeting I'd asked about, and you had indicated, of course, you say that's still within the budget, but the question was, if we delay these projects, what the cost, will these projects cost more, was one of my questions. And I believe I was told that it wouldn't. So when I see this, I kind of get,
I'm sorry, I don't recall.
I got to go get the tape. I'm like the NFL. I got to go back to the tape.
Yeah.
But I think what Commissioner, you don't have to testify today, but I think what Commissioner Dreehouse is saying, I think will help all of us if we have a understanding of which ones didn't meet the deadline, so that we could kind of see everything. That would help us. And that way I don't have to get the tape. I could refer to your document.
Yeah, we've got all that information and we track it. So, we could have, if a staff meeting is appropriate, we can do an entire presentation on what, if you want the bridge projects or the whole CIP. We're coming up on the budget for the next year, those hearings, but
Ryan,
whatever you all need.
can you speak up a little? They're saying they can't hear
Sorry.
you back there.
Should I repeat?
No. I
Okay.
mean,
Well, maybe, Ryan, that can just be part of the presentation when the budget comes forward. I mean, obviously, it
That's-
level sets our whole conversation about the budget for the next year.
Okay,
mhm.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. So at that point, no more discussion. I make a motion to approve item number 9.
Second,
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes?
Thank you. Item 10.
Commissioners, we're going to play tag team today with you.
Okay,
I'll be presenting the rest of the items, the balance of the items on the MSD portion of your agenda. So
Okay.
item number 10 and item number 11, just as a preface before I go through each one, both of these are assessment projects. Commissioner Reese had asked about the assessment credit, and these are the types of projects that involve that particular credit. So item number 10 is for Parakeet Drive Local Sewer, house number 6002 and 6069. It's requesting construction funding for this local sewer project. The current request is to appropriate $662,300, again, for construction funding, and total project cost is $884,000. This project is located in Green Township and serves 9 parcels. These are 9 benefited parcels. So each of, under our policy, under MSD rules and regulations, each of those parcels would pay their share of the cost, which does not exceed $12,000 per property or per parcel, benefited parcel. The commissioners had a series of meetings on this during 2021, starting off in February with the public hearing for this project. Unfortunately, none of the property owners, it was a virtual public hearing, none of the property owners attended that hearing. They asked MSD to re-poll the property owners because the original polling was from 10 years prior. It was re-polled. There was still an absolute majority of 56% of the benefited properties who wanted to go forward with the project, desired to have a public sewer and to be assessed. Then the commissioners had approved the resolution to proceed on October 14th. And so today is the last step in that process, which is to approve construction funding and to go forward if you so desire. The total cost, I've mentioned, the individual parcel cost is $98,235. The benefited properties will pay 12% of that cost, the individual costs per parcel, and the assessment credit will pay 88% of that cost. And the request again is to approve construction funding, and then we can go forward if you so desire.
thank you. I'll open it up for any discussion, Vice President Reese. No, Commissioner. I'd make a motion to approve item number 10.
second,
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes?
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. Item 11 is again an assessment sewer project. This is Cornell Road Local Sewer, house numbers 7379 through 7401. This is in the city of Montgomery. This will serve 2 property owners, but 4 parcels. 2 parcels are single-family parcels, 2 parcels are vacant properties, which the property owners has said they want to have assessed. Vacant parcels, of course, under our policy could be put into an easement, a land conservation easement. They do not desire that process. The request is for $293,200 in construction funding. Total project cost is $381,000. The cost per benefited parcel is $95,175, of which the property owners, the benefited properties will pay 12.6% of that per parcel, and the assessment credits will pay for 87.4% of that parcel. I'll entertain any questions that you have.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Make a motion to approve item number 11.
second,
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Bear with me, I have only 2 more items on your agenda.
You're fine.
So item number 12 is CSO 513 sewer separation, which is located in the city of Reading. As both Lauren and Ryan had mentioned about 2 other projects, this is another wet weather improvement plan project that is a part of the consent decree bridge suite of projects that were modified, that modified the original consent decree in 2018. This project is requesting $5,418,700 in construction funding, and the total project cost is $6.4 million. The project will eliminate stormwater from combined sewers that are tributary to CSO 513 using separation of storm sewer inlets located along the streets and redirecting these separated stormwater inflows to both Cooper and Mill Creeks through dedicated storm sewers. The project includes the installation of approximately 8,300 linear feet of storm sewer, ranging from 6 inches to 54 inches in diameter, as well as a number of manholes and inlets and 2 outfall modifications, CSO outfall modifications. As I mentioned, the current request is $5.4 million. Happy to entertain any questions on this particular project.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
The reason for the increased cost?
Hold on, hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought she shook her head no.
Oh, you said no? Okay.
So costs have increased since the original estimate. In part, I refer back to Mr. Welch's comments concerning how the bridge came about and the costs that were associated originally with the bridge, but also particular to this project is the cost of PVC pipe and manholes is up roughly 20% from the 90% drawings, which I believe were plans and specifications, which were in 2019, I believe.
The first time I think the first time this project appeared in a CIP book.
You have to get to the mic, please.
Sorry, I
Thanks.
keep doing that. I think the first time this project appeared in a CIP budget was 2019. The number at that time was essentially taken directly from the WIP, a 2010 document using a 2006 number. So it didn't reflect any work that MSD had done to do any engineering estimating. What we have today is the actual construction cost. You know, a portion of that is the extreme inflation that we've seen within the last year. But the explanation for why it differs from when this first appeared in a capital budget goes back to the things I said on the other project, CSO 214. But any other questions?
Yeah, I just have a quick question related to that then. I hear you saying that we're using old numbers. And so the new numbers are higher than the old numbers. And I understand that. It begs the question, why are we using the old numbers? I mean, and what, as the board, I'm very concerned about the upcoming budget that's going to be presented to us. And those estimates then moving forward, are we going to have the same situation where we're using old numbers and then we're going to be in a position at a later date to have more money allocated to a project because the cost estimate was pretty far below the actual cost?
I would hope that we're not put in that situation again. The bridge itself was a unique situation. I think we were at the end of the 10-year phase 1, and the purpose of the bridge was to continue a level of spending that the consent decree regulators would want to see. So these projects were basically grabbed from a list, the city and the county, the people in that room who agreed to it. It was sent to it was approved by the federal court, not the budgets, but the actual projects. So we had to do these projects, and this MSD did not have an opportunity prior to entering into the bridge agreement to do the engineering planning and do the estimating. So it's a very unique situation, and given where consent decree negotiations are today, I do not anticipate that being a problem in phase 2.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. And as you look at the variables to determine a better estimate, I'm sure you have a list, inflation, cost of equipment and things like that. And so what are some of the other variables you look as you raise the rate as things have increased, the cost has increased? What variables are you considering from a 2006 estimate to give us a 2021, 22
So that,
Yes, sir.
that 2006 number is a number that somebody put on a list and it was maybe
Okay.
approximated in
So the most,
15 years ago.
so the most recent
It's from the ground
numbers
up.
are
We-
from maybe 2010, you were
or-
saying?
no, The most recent numbers that you are seeing are at the completion of design. We know exactly what the quantities of pipe, the size of the
Mhm.
pipe, the amount of material to be excavated. So it's, that the estimate that you're seeing today, what you're approving or looking at to approve today is an estimate that's built from the ground up
Yeah.
without the unknowns.
And I'm not just talking about today. I'm talking about as more projects, and you said we're almost done with the projects that, as far as budgeting. But I'm not just talking about today, but as you move forward and bring more projects to us, they have the most recent estimates. You're not going back for any of
I
those.
see. Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I will add that we use AACE estimating guidelines and national standards. And basically when you start planning a project, when you're in the planning phase and you have an idea, a concept of a project, you want to build a treatment plant, for example, and this is where it's going to be, and this is how big it's going to be. The estimating range is plus 100%, minus 50%. So it could be, when we first talk about a concept project, it could exceed that estimate. It's called a class 5 estimate. Could exceed that cost, that number by 100%. As we proceed through planning and design, right now we're at 100% design. So that's the highest level estimate that you can get. It's very accurate. So this is something that we've been working on in our project costing manual and being able to communicate that better so that when a number first appears in a CIP, like in our 5-year CIP, something that's 5 years off, that typically can be a class 5 estimate. It's not a budget cap, and we just I think we need to do a better job at communicating that, what the unknowns are and what the risks of increases are.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item 12.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. The last item is item 13, Timbers Pump Station Elimination. The request is for construction funding, and this project is located in the city of Forest Park. The current request is to appropriate $1,999,000 for construction funding with a total project cost of $2.3 million. The Timbers Pump Station Elimination is what MSD defines as an asset management project as compared to our wet weather improvement plans or consent decree projects. The pump station was constructed in 1980 as part of the Timbers subdivision development and is an MSD asset at this point in time. It serves approximately 37 homes along Jonquil Meadow Drive and Juneberry Drive. And the 41-year-old pump station has several deteriorated key components and is at the end of its useful life. It's not structurally sound due to deteriorating metal of its dry well. The small size of the concrete wet well insufficiently handles wet weather flows, and the pump station is known to overflow from the receiving manhole closest to its dry well. The proposal again is to replace the pump station, eliminate it with a gravity sewer. And approximately 265 feet of 24-inch diameter gravity sewer would be constructed to eliminate the pump station. Happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you. Vice President Reese, no questions? Commissioner Green?
Yeah, I have a question. So you're replacing a pump station with a gravity sewer. I don't really understand the difference between these two things. And also, is this a strategy that MSD is going to use moving forward related to pump stations? So, and just help us better understand what's going on here.
So this is an end system, so a small pump station out in a collection system. These aren't going to ever go away. We've got about 100 of them.
Pump stations?
We've got about 100 of these small pump stations. I don't have the numbers exactly, but I would venture to guess that 30 years ago, we had 150 or closer to 200. So the way these arise is typically a development. Everything has to flow downhill. If there's no sewer nearby, they build a pump station, which then pumps it through a smaller pipe to a place where it does get into our sewer, so it flows by gravity. When we go in and do an elimination where it's feasible, it's to make everything flow by gravity to our larger sewer downstream, where it's going to end up anyway, but we just don't have the pumps. We're eliminating that pump station with a project, so a deeper sewer where no sewer was.
So one last question, is the cost of a pump station or replacement or repair, I suppose, how is that relative to the gravity sewer? Which is more expensive?
It's on a case by case, and that's why I said we'll never get away from having pump stations. We're seeing like a pump station replacement or an upgrade typically costing around $2 million. So if a pump station elimination, we have to look at them on a case by case basis, but if it greatly exceeds the cost to upgrade or replace, we're not going to do an elimination. We're going to keep it running. Of course, if we upgraded it, in this case, it would cost the same or more to upgrade or replace, but then you've got the cost of electricity, of pumping, of doing the maintenance, replacing pumps and sending our employees out there to clean it and inspect on a weekly basis.
So to just provide some clarity, so is the gravity sewer a cheaper option related to the pump station?
Yes,
Replacing or repairing the pump station?
If we don't do this project to eliminate it, we would have to design and construct a project to upgrade this pump station, which what we've been seeing for ones that we've upgraded is on par with this cost.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And maybe you said it earlier. How old is the pump station?
I think 1980.
80. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, can I ask one last
Sure.
question? So if this, it sounds like this is a strategy that MSD is going to use if you can, instead of repairing or replacing pump stations, if there's potential for a gravity sewer, you want to go that route. So can you help us also understand the impacts then downstream or upstream? Are there impacts related to this change between a pump station and a gravity sewer?
We always evaluate that, but typically there's not, because the flow is already there and it's being pumped to the gravity sewer already. So we're just putting a pipe in, deeper and connecting to the sewer, but the connection point isn't always the same. So, but it is something we look at because we don't want to create overflows or sewer backups, upstream or downstream effects.
Thank you.
Thank you. With no further discussion, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 13.
Second,
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Madam
Thank you.
President.
When is your last day?
It is still a year or so
I
in the
thought it was-
future, but I'm
Okay.
transitioning to not being in front of you as
Okay,
often.
that's what I thought you
Yes.
said. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Okay.
Madam President,
Yes, uh-huh.
I just had one follow-up on during all of the votes that we took. It was said that because of cost, we're going to a different type of material with the pipe. And I just want to make sure, because sometimes we go with a cheaper thing and then 10 years from now, we say, oh, this it didn't hold, it wasn't good, we invested in the wrong thing. Can you highlight that? Because that's very important. We want to invest in stuff that'll be around for 50 years or more.
It is important, and we're not sacrificing quality by any means. We're not, for example, because we can't get PVC, we're not going back to clay tile pipe that they used in the 1950s and 60s. The one specific project that I mentioned where we couldn't get PVC pipe, we switched to ductile iron pipe, which will be, it'll be there for 100 years at least. So
Okay, because some would ask if there was a cheaper version of something out there, but didn't risk quality, why didn't we do that to keep costs down before we were forced to use
right.
that?
Well, we're not, unfortunately, the change didn't decrease the cost. It cost us more to switch to something else. And we're, like I said, we're always trying to reduce costs and save the ratepayers money, but we're not going to sacrifice quality at the same time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have before you consent agenda items number 14 through 34. At this point, I will open up for any discussion on any of the items. Vice President Reese.
Yes, I have discussion on item, I think it's 20, I don't know what I just did with my, there it is, okay. Item number 20, So item number 20 deals with JFS Interior Furnishings Project, and it's $13 million. So I did get a chance to talk to Mr. Bergen, but if he could maybe just highlight what that is in terms of furnishings for 13 million.
And I see Amy Story is here, so if she'd like to jump in at any point, I'm happy for her assistance here. But it's a reconfiguration and replacement of the interior furnishings at 222 East Central Parkway, and it's intended to improve operational efficiencies and provide increased security and safety features. As I understand it, it's a whole reconfiguration of the interior of the building. It sounds like we're buying new desks, but it's a much larger project than that.
And today we're not selecting the people who would have it, right?
That's
The
correct. This
contracts,
is-
I'm sorry.
That's correct. This is establishing the project, appropriating the ability to spend up to $13 million on the project, and just advancing that first phase in cash. So we're moving $900,000 for just the design phase at this time.
Madam President and Commission Board, I just want to highlight as we're going into this, I was at the CEO roundtable, was invited to come there. They were meeting with the new president of Xavier University, and there's a number of CEOs of African-American, women-owned and minority-owned companies there. Dr. Janet Reed was hosting that. And one of the things, these are companies that are, not mid-sized, but kind of large-sized minority businesses. And it was brought to my attention about, of course, we've got a Croson study, but then we also have some things that we can do even prior to that. And I just want to make sure when you look at the furnishing and furniture and all that, that this process will be inclusive of Mr. Bell, and that there would be real outreach. I got a call after that event asking that we've been putting out things for bid, and we've been having them apply knowing that they can't get it, but we would write it down. Well, we let them apply. So I know that Mr. Bell said he has some ideas on maybe breaking up some of these contracts so then they can apply and actually potentially have a equal shot at winning these things. And one of the places was JFS that had the most issues with. I haven't been here a year yet, but I plan to get deep into what's going on over at JFS as we come up with new leadership, because there's a lot of contracts that come there. We keep the same people over and over and over, and they become multi-year. Now, this doesn't apply to you, Amy, because you just took over as an interim. But as we move forward, we want to open up this process. And if we're going to put something out, let's have a real opportunity for people. We don't want to just get them on a list and check the box. This is not a check the box situation. So as we go into this one, because I was told in one of the reports that there was a minority firm doing some furnishing, and then later that minority firm said, no, we've never heard back. So I just think this is an opportunity to work with Mr. Bell and some others to be able to break it up in a way that everyone can participate. And these are companies that have track records of doing business with corporate. If it's good enough for Procter & Gamble, I'm sure they passed the mustard. They do Procter & Gamble. They've done these folks in this room, in that room, they've done corporate things with banks and Kroger's and different folks. So anyway, just wanted to highlight that. And I know today we're not voting on selecting anyone. We're voting on putting the money out there for an opportunity. And I just see this as a potential opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you. How old is JFS, that building over there?
If I can offer a little bit of insight, let's see, I started here in 90. I believe we moved in over there in 93. So yes, this is a complete replacement of all of the furnishings inside. And it really is about, at this point, there's no replacement parts. We literally can't change cubicles or move cubicles because there's nothing to hold them together. And to speak to your issue,
So,
about, oh, go ahead. I'm
Go
sorry.
on. I was going to say this would be a complete reverberation. Nothing has ever been done before. And
Correct. Not at
I'll
all,
let you-
since we've moved in. We
Sure,
brought our old
and-
furnishings with us.
And the other question, because this was your issue you brought up, I just wanted to ask the funding specifically where the 13 million is coming from.
We are working on a model for JFS projects where we're assuming JFS has the balance, they advance the dollars into the project. When we complete the project, we will debt finance it and create a schedule for reimbursement that will also be reimbursed by JFS.
Okay, thank you. So,
I just wanted to go back to your piece if somebody didn't hear, there was an original RFP released. And thankfully, I think in hindsight with COVID, we did not go forward with that original design. It has now been completely redesigned with remote work and hybrid work in mind. So, you know, it could have been, and I wasn't directly involved, but I do know initially that was put out and then it was held. So all of this would be with the new redesign in mind.
Thank you. No, that, I appreciate that. And I just want to say, and I know we're working on it, but communication, relationship is very important. And one of the things I did bring up is when we don't do something, or you didn't get the job, or you didn't get the contract, that there be at least a little letter that go to you and say, thank you, fortunately, or whatever that language is. So the people kind of know and they're not just out there. So anyway, just wanted to highlight that. And those were the questions that I had, Madam President.
thank you. Thank you, Amy.
I have a question, Amy. Come back. So, yeah, I remember when this one was let. What is the cost difference between then and now? Do you remember the original cost?
I believe the original project was supposed to be in the mid 14 million range. So we're about $1 million, $1.5 million lower than the initial project.
Okay, yeah, because I had questions at that time because it does seem like a lot to spend on internal work. And you described it as cubicles and furnishing, and it's just a complete redesign of the building. And there was minority participation the first time out. And the project got held because of COVID and JFS trying to figure out whether or not the redesign would be relevant to a post-COVID JFS. And so that's why it got held to begin with. It wasn't so much that the money wasn't available and we had approved it. It was, is this how we're going to look moving forward? And so the project got held. There was some frustration at that time. I was part of that frustration. But now we're coming back. It's a revamped project, but the same intent,
Correct.
which is to give the folks at JFS a good place to work and make it an efficient workspace. So I too hope that those that participated in the last round will participate again in this round, because I know there was minority participation in this project in the last go round.
Yeah, and it's actually not just limited to cubicle parts. There are some construction of walls and removal of walls for better traffic flow into the building. I know on the first floor, there's some idea there that it's not really set up. It's not currently designed for what we need it to do. So yeah, it's a variety of contracts.
So
Thank you.
how many, were you done?
Thank you.
How many floors in the building?
Well, there's 6.5 or 6 1/4, depending on how you
Okay,
look at it. There's a bump out on the 7th floor, the executive area.
Because I think about the cost that we were given as it relates to just doing something on this floor and the second floor. It's like, I couldn't believe it. Maybe I need to get into that profession, but anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Madam President,
Yes.
I'm sorry, can I add just two things?
Sure.
One is, I think also when we're trying to recruit people, the environment does matter. We've got a new workforce now that has a lot of options. It used to be where the people were competing for the jobs. Now the employers are competing for the workers. And, they don't want to come somewhere looking drab and down. I mean, it's already a tough job in some regards. And so I also see this as part of helping with recruitment because, we gotta be updated. I mean, when I came in here, I said, oh, you gotta be kidding me. And we've updated since I've been here too. And we got more updates coming as the board had voted on some things that would be coming down the road. But I couldn't believe it myself. And I thought, I said, man, is this somebody pulled a prank on me? I've been at the city that, nothing's older than City Hall, and that place looks, has the technology, looks nice, or at the state level. And so I came here, I was like, oh my goodness, we've got to get the technology right. So these are the things that the board has recognized, and I see this also as recruitment, as we're getting people getting in the workforce, younger people coming out of college. They've got different things that are important to them. It's not just the salary anymore. It's not just the benefits anymore. Sometimes it's just the work environment, what it looks like. So I think that's the board moving in a positive direction. The last thing I just want to highlight is every time we do a bid, it costs a small business. There's a cost to it. So we say, oh, well, they bid last time and we couldn't do it and we hope they do it again. I mean, I wish we could keep whatever the bids were, because there's a cost. They get no money to bid. They got to put cost into it. And if it was like we do with the government, we times everything, times a person, times how much time. This stuff costs. And that's why a lot of small businesses don't bid on things that aren't going to be certain. And I know it's beyond our control on the COVID, but there's other things that we've had, not necessarily the county, but governments have. And then we say, oh, we decided, but everybody else who didn't, we all still get paid. The small business that took the time to say, I'm gonna go for that one, and you were selected, but we're not gonna do it. And now we're gonna go back, and we sure hope you would put some more time into it. So I just want us to highlight that, maybe with procurement, maybe with Robert Bell. I wanna put that on the table. Every time a business decides to bid, there's a cost, it's time. And so I want us to just kind of be mindful of those things. That I don't know if it's a way, I don't know if that bid is old and can't be done again, I'm not sure. Or if we can use what already was done and they can participate at a lower cost because it's only $1 million less. I just hope that we can look at that might can help that small business that, maybe be it on this contract or other contracts in the future.
Thank you. Is there more discussion at the DS we need to have? Okay. I make a motion to adopt items 14 through 13.
Second.
14 through 34.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We have one before we go into executive session, I wanted to make sure there was no additional comments needed to be made up here. Vice President Reese.
Yes, I have two I forgot to say. Wanted to also acknowledge small business and personality, Ebony J, who has the I Am Queen Awards, and our judge, Wendy Cross, is going to be the speaker. There'll be a number of women being honored. So I just wanted to highlight that. That's this Sunday. And want to also thank her. I'm going to be one of the honorees, but she acknowledges a lot of women. She's been doing this for several years, and it's produced by Easily Blessed Media. But I want to thank her. She's on the radio as well, and the I Am Queen Awards, and looking forward to hearing Judge Wendy Cross as the keynote speaker on this Sunday. And then lastly, turkeys are hard to find. Want to just highlight every year Prince Hall Masonic organization that I'm also a part of. We will be giving out turkeys, over 1,000 turkeys, and I just want to thank them, particularly this year, because turkeys are hard to find. I know the Free Store Food Bank is also giving away turkeys, but wanted to acknowledge this organization who does it every year. I think in the last 3 or 4 years of giving out over almost 10,000 turkeys. And it's not just the turkey, they get the turkey and all the fixing and everything you need, all the way down to the eggs and the Jiffy Mix. So I just want to thank and acknowledge that organization for the work that they do as well. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Dreehouse.
Nothing further.
I'll also be out on this Friday, giving out Thanksgiving dinners at Winwoods Elementary. Looking forward to it and excited about that opportunity. So we'll move forward with our executive session. I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session pursuant to RC 121.22 G2 to discuss the acquisition of property.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you.